Hello everyone, welcome to High School Computer Programming channel. In today's video, we will discuss loops in Python. There are two types of loops we will discuss today. One is while loop and the other is for loop. Okay, without getting much into the theory of the loops, let us straight away get into programming. Why do we use loops first of all? What is the purpose of using loops? Loops are meant for repetitive purposes. For example, if you're repeating some set of instruction for a given number of times or until a condition is met, then the loops are used. Now, you may not have understood anything about what I said right now. Let's go to an example. So I have already opened a file in my development environment. I use Thani. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a program that will print a given name for 5 times. Let's start with it. So I'm going to write a statement to input the name. So input, enter the name. Okay, so this will input the given name and would store in a variable a name. That's fine. Now, if I do not know anything about loops, then I would print this name 5 times by using 5 print statements. For example, I write print na and then copy this statement and place it, say, 5 times. So that will make the program to print 5 times. Let's do that. Let's run the program. It says enter the name. I say John, and it prints John for 5 times. And this is okay. Now this is an example of repetitive statements. I use print statement 5 times. So similarly, you can repeat any set of statements like this. So maybe you have a block of code, 5 statements together. You want to repeat them all. You can copy and paste them. But that's not the good way of writing program. So to overcome this, instead of copy and pasting the code repeatedly, we can ask the computer to repeat the process. It's not as simple as copying and pasting. You will understand much more about loops in the course of this video. So what we are talking about is, with a simple example, how do we repeat this statement using loops? So the first type of loop we are going to look at is while loop. Now, what is the meaning of while loop is? The while loop will repeat the statement or statements until a condition is met. Okay, let's start. We said we want to print the name for 5 times. So we will start with a counter that starts from 1. So what I did is I placed a variable and called that as count and placed 1 in it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm writing a while statement while so count is less than or equal to 5. So I'll do something called print the given name. And what I'll do is I'll increment the count by 1. That's it. I have done the program. Now what is it? So let's start explaining from the line number 2. So we started with the count value is 1, and we tell the count value, as long as the count value is less than or equal to 5, repeat these 2 statements. That's the meaning of this code. So that means the count value will be 1 in the beginning. So it is less than or equal to 5. So it prints NA, which is the given name. And the count will become 2 the next time because it says count equal to count plus 1. And that means 2 is still less than or equal to 5. Then it will print again. Then count will become 3. And 3 is less than or equal to 5. It will print the name again. The count will become 4. And then count will become 5. That prints. When the count becomes 6, this condition fails. That means count 6 is not less than or equal to 5. So the program comes to this place to stop. Let's do here with a print statement, say end of the program, just for understanding. End of the program, to understand the loops, how do they break. So that means that these 2 statements will be repeated as long as this condition is true. When this condition fails, the program will come back and execute this statement. Let's try to run this program and check. So I'm going to say John, It prints 5 times. If you look at it here, it prints 5 times. After the fifth time, it prints end of the program, because when the condition fails in line number 6, I said print end of the program. So this is a simple way of writing while loop. You can do a lot of things with while programming. I mean, a lot of things with the loops while you're writing programs. So, for example, I'm adding something here. Let's say count, and I put a comma, I put a double quotation, a colon, a some space, plus a quotation in comma, and what you're expecting to print. So what we have said is print the value of count, place a colon, and print the value of the variable NA. That means let's run the program and check what happens. I give John, it says 1 colon John, 2 colon John, 3 colon John, and then after the fifth time it printed, it says the end of the program. So that's how a particular statement can be repeated using a while loop. For example, if I increment this value by say 2, what happens? That means the loop will not be repeating for 5 times, but it will repeat for much less than 5 times. Let's see how many times it repeats. I said instead of count equal to count plus 1, I said count equal to count plus 2. Let's run the program, and then once again give the name John. It says 1 and it says 3 because we incremented the count by 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 2 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is 7, which is greater than the condition, greater than 5 given in the condition. So it prints only 3 times. Now slightly change this number to say 50. Now how many times the program will print? It will print many number of times. Let's see how many times. Let's say John, and it prints, look at that, it prints 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. It keeps on going. So that is a good example of how to use while loop. Okay, now let's do one more example before getting into for loops. What I'll do is I will just dummy this program. I mean, I'm not deleting this code so that you can compare the code. I go to edit and just put them as comments. So that means this code, this set of code, this part of the code is dummy. It doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write another while statement while count is less than or equal to 10. So what I do is I want to print something. I want to do something here. You can just follow me and then tell me what just keep guessing what I'm doing here. I'll just print count first and a comma, and I'm going to put times and say 4, then equals, close the quotation, comma, I'll say count times 4. Then let me put this in brackets so that happens this, and then I say count equals count plus 1. Okay, I have written some code here. So what did I do is I put count is 1 and asked the count to go up to 10 times. I said print the value of count and print something within the quotations. And then I said to multiply the count value by 4. Now you see what happens. Let's see. Okay, this statement is not required. We're not asking for any input. So I'm going to remove this. So run the program. Now look at this. You got something wonderful here. You got 1 times 4 equal to 4, 2 times 4 equal to 8, 3 times 4 equal to 12. So that prints the multiplication table for the fourth table up to 10 times. And the question is, why it prints only the fourth table? Can you print the sixth table? All you need to do is change to 6, and all you need to do is change this to 6 and run the program. Then it prints the sixth table. But this is not a good idea. You go and change the code every time. So what we can do is we can write let's say n equals, write an input statement that will input the number of table you want to print. So input, enter the number. So we're going to enter the number for which it's going to print the table. Okay, so how do you do that? So instead of here, so what do we do here is close it, put a comma. Instead of 6, we want to place that variable n. So n, then comma, then we want to print an equal sign, put the equal sign, and print n here. So that means I am asking the computer to generate a multiplication table for the given number. So that means start from here, you will enter a number, then it will repeat till 10 times, and it will print the table for this. So please understand this print statement is first we are printing the value of count, which is from 1 till 10. Then we print the sign x, then print the value of n, which is given in the input, and we print equal sign, and we print the multiplication of count times n. Let's see this, what happens. Enter the number, let's say 12. Now that prints the 12th table. 1 times 12 equal to 12, 2 times 12 equal to 24. That prints. So let's give another one, say 34th table. That prints 34th table. Now the next question is, why should it print all the times up to 10? Can we make it flexible? Can we make this number flexible so that I can print table only up to 5, or I can print the table up to 20, or I can print the table up to say 35, or any number of your choice. Let's say, so we're going to have another variable. So I will just copy this statement. It's easy. So equals, it says enter the number. So I'll say number of times. How many times you want to print the table. Now, instead of that constant 10, I will change that to x. If I do that, what happens is, if I say 5 times, the table will be printed only for 5 times. If I say 10 times, it will print for 10 times. So let's run the program. So I want the 6th table to be printed for 20 times. That means 1 times 6 equals to 6, up to 20 times. Let's see this. That works. So it's starting from 1, then goes, it prints up to 20 times. Now this is an example of how loops could be used in Python programming to repeat a particular task. What did we repeat here? We repeated the multiplication, we repeated the printing of the values, we repeated the counting of values. All these statements are repeated for a given number of times. In other words, until the condition is true. When the condition is false, the program stops. Okay, so there is another way to write loops. So I'm going to dummy this statement again. So just to not to delete it, so that you can see you can weave the code all the time while you are watching this video. So I'm going to say toggle it. See, another way to do is called for loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a for loop to print this. The same thing that we have done, printing a multiplication table, or printing even your name for a given number of times. We can use another thing called for loop. Let's say for, we'll keep a variable, let's say m, in range of, let's say we start from 1 comma 10, and colon. All I say is print. Directly I'm going to print some message here. So let's say welcome, close the quotation, and that's done. So we have done a new loop. Now these two statements do not serve any purpose for this example. I'll use them in a minute from now. So what I did is, for m in range of 1 comma 2, print welcome. What is it going to print? Let's run the program. Don't worry about this input, give anything you want. So these two are not useful at this point. We're not using them. Now it says print. it still prints welcome for 9 times, not up to 10 times. If you count carefully, it is only up to 9 times. Now, what is the meaning of this code is start from 1, go up to 10, but exclusive of 10. That means 1 less than 10. So it will print 9 times. Now, simply to prove this, what you can do is we can print the value of m with a comma. So let me dummy these two statements as well because we are not using them. Okay, dummy this. So this is the only code that I am using right now. So earlier we used while loop for printing the names and incrementing the values and printing multiplication table. Here I am using for loop to print a message, a text. Let's see, run the program. So it prints from 1 till 9. That's correct. So it prints 1 exclusive of the given number 11, given number 10, then up to 9 it prints. Now, for example, if I add a value here, say 3, so what is the purpose of this? What did I do? I said m in range of 1, 10, 3, print welcome. I'm not saying what is the role of m here. Have a look at it here. So it says 1, then says 4, then says 7. What is it? Think about it. Let me change that value to 2, then see what happens. So now it prints 1, then prints 3, then prints 5, then prints 7 and 9. That means, so this is the value of increment. How much do you want to increment? 1 plus 2 is 3, that is the next number, and 3 plus 2 is 5, that is the next number. Then 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 plus 2 is 9, but 9 plus 2 is 11, which is beyond the given value here, so it doesn't work. It does stop there. It stops there. So that's the meaning of that. Okay, so now you know how to use for loop. I'm going to print the multiplication table using for loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle these two statements. I want to get input for the table and how many times I want to use the table. I'm going to modify this program. So what I do is, so the range is up to x. So I'm going to use x plus 1. Hope you got the reason for this. Then I remove the increment value because I want that increment to happen by 1. The reason I give x plus 1 is if I say 10 times, I want the loop to be repeated 10 times. If the value is 10, the loop will print only up to 9 times. So I am incrementing that by 1 to print 10 as well. Now I'm going to modify this code similar to what I did in the while loop here. First, I want to print m, which is a count starting from 1. Then I want to print times, and then I want to print the value of n. Then I want to print equal sign. Once that is done, I want to print the multiplication of m, which is the count here. M is the changing value, so every time that changes. Otherwise, we will call index variable. So that's index is changing times times is x. The which variable that we want to print. So that means that is n. Sorry, not x, it's n. So that is the number that we want to print. That's it. So now this code is doing the same thing as this code. I want to show you all the code and then compare it on your own. So that's the reason I have not deleted any of the code that I have done. I kept all the code here. So the for loop here is doing exactly the same thing as the while loop here. Let's see whether it is printing the same thing or not. Run the program. Okay, that seems to be an error with that. Let me check. It says unexpected end of file while parsing. Okay, the reason is I do not have a closing bracket here for that print statement. Okay, so look at that. So I have an opening bracket here, so there should be a closing bracket here. Okay, run it here. The number is 6. I want to print up to 12 times. So it prints. 1 times 6 equal to 6, 2 times 6 equal to 12, then it goes up to 12 times 6. I can run the program to any other number. I want to print the 12th table up to 10 times, so that prints. So this is an example of a for loop, and this is an example of how to use while loop in your program. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There are a couple of other questions that I have placed here for you to look at it. To print the factorial of a given number, and to find out the sum of odd numbers from 5 to 125, you can give it a try. In case if anybody requires code for this program, please do let me know. I will send you the code to you. Please comment on the video. I will send the code to you. So if you like this video and if you like this explanation useful to you, please like it, subscribe, and tell your friends about this channel. I'll see you in the next video.